let's get right into it. The Von Miller trade, I love it. That's the only way to put it. I love it. I love the aggressivity for the Rams to just keep on getting more and more pot committed. What can you tell us about it, Albert?
Yeah, I think what's interesting, they've always been aggressive, but I think over the last couple of years, what you've noticed is that they are really kind of putting all of their resources into, what they consider value positions, right? And so, before where I think, if they were just aggressive in trying to stock good players, now they've really focused it on a few spots. And, it's receivers, it's quarterbacks, it's corners, and it's pass rushers. And, we saw what they did with Stafford. We saw what they did with Ramsey. And, Vaughn's a little different because Vaughn doesn't have as much time left as Ramsey did when they traded for him, or as Stafford does now that they've traded for him, even though he's a little older. Obviously, there's a position difference there. But they've really kind of had a focus on, trying to put as much as they can in what they consider premium positions. And clearly, Von Miller was the best team on a Super Bowl champion 6 years ago. Now, is he the player that he was back then? Probably not. But, now he's going to be playing alongside Aaron Donald, alongside Leonard Floyd. He won't need to do quite as much. So, I think it's an awfully aggressive move. And I think it kind of is along the lines of what they've done the last 2 or 3 years, how they've focused that on premium positions. And I think for Denver, if you're Vic Fangio, you don't feel great about this.
I know.
If you're Vic Fangio, you're saying, okay, now we're starting to, under a new general manager, under a first-year general manager, George Payton, we're starting to look towards 2022, and what does that mean for my future? So it's interesting from the Rams' perspective. Of course, they're all in, and I think a 7-1 start certainly, confirms the way that they felt about themselves going into the season. And the Broncos, of course, start 3-0, but the whole thing's kind of come undone on them since then, and that's why I think they're sort of turning their focus towards 2022 when, who knows, maybe they're the ones that are going big game hunting for a quarterback.
Well, look, they have to. That's for sure. And to see Von Miller go, right, and they get the draft capital, it strikes me as a maneuver that would count against them. And Aaron Rodgers saying, "I'll go there," right? You're trading away championship pieces, unless you get him back, unless you sign him back, you get the picks, and you kind of pull like what the Yankees did with Aroldis Chapman and the Cubs back in the day. Is that what
look at it this way, right? So you got Bradley Chubb, so they're going to have to pay him. Von Miller, I believe, I have to look this up because it's a lot happening at once. I think he's in a contract here. Mm-hmm. So maybe you had the idea he's not coming back, right? And maybe because you know more about him than anybody else, you're thinking to himself, this isn't going to be the same player in 2022. So let's get what we can now. We'll build more capital to go get a quarterback. And then say they do what the Rams did, right? Which the Rams had Matthew Stafford in place at the end of January last year. Now you've cleared spots and you've got all of this draft capital. And if you go and trade for an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson at that point, now you can say, well, look, we're trading for you. And then on top of that, we've got more capital and more space to build around you with guys that are going to be here for the next few years, rather than having Von Miller on the roster. And, oh, by the way, now maybe we have the space to go take care of Bradley Chubb, who's going to be our new kind of, warhorse pass rush. So, I think it's sort of a chess move by George Payton in that we're going to have assets and we're going to have space to build in 2022. And not only can we bring in a quarterback, but on top of that, we're going to have the resources to build aggressively around that quarterback with a guy who's probably going to be here a little longer than Von Miller would have been.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.